Welcome to the Kerrville Bible Church Pastors Podcast, where we seek to further equip you for the work of ministry by discussing a variety of biblical, theological, and practical topics. Stick around until the end of the episode to learn how you can submit a question for us to answer on the podcast. Welcome back to the Kerrville Bible Church Pastors Podcast. My name is Toby Baxley, and I'm your host, joined, as always, almost always, by Scott Christensen, Chris McKnight, Murray Van Gundy, and we have an interesting topic for you today, and I think there's a lot of application for us as believers in this area, and we're going to talk about gambling today. If you look on you can't watch TV anymore. You can't watch sports without being bombarded with gambling commercials, whether it's like DraftKings or whatever the other ones are. I try not to pay attention to any of them, but and then it seems like if you go to ESPN.com, everything is geared toward gambling. And so we want to talk about that. How should we think as believers about gambling? Is it a sin? And what are we doing? What are we doing about it? So, Chris, this is yours. So,
all right, we're going to take a chance and talk about gambling.
We're taking a chance.
We're going to roll the dice.
Rolling the dice.
See how this goes.
It's a crapshoot.
It is. It's a massive topic. About $1.3 billion was estimated to be bet on the Super Bowl, most recent, which is an all-time record. Every year, it's an all-time record. Most states have legalized gambling, legalized lotteries, casinos. There's only a handful of states that don't have legalized casinos in their midst. So it is rampant. It's growing like crazy. There's a constant pressure on every sporting event, as you said, to do these, not just bet on the outcome of the game. That's passé. That's boring. It's to bet on every little aspect of the game. Mm-hmm. Will this player have so many points by halftime? What will be the score at halftime? You can bet throughout the game as the betting odds change as the game goes on. They're pushing to jump in at any point. And, these parlay bets and on and on and on. So
the coin toss. You can bet on the coin toss. You can bet on the color Gatorade.
Right. It's
Can you even imagine that?
It's absolutely endless.
Even when you watch an NBA game, they're always posting, which team is supposed to have the advantage and
exactly
for
chance of winning.
Yeah.
It's epidemic. And I remember I've been very interested in this topic because my conscience is very sensitive to this. I actually feel a little guilty sometimes when I do the friendly wager lunch bet with a friend in church about an outcome of a game. Years ago, I had this running bet with Neil Mears, who's no longer with us on the planet. Neil was a big Aggie, went there, devoted Aggie. He was there back in the days when Bear Bryant was there. So we had this running bet every time A&M played Alabama. And my conscience was so sensitive. I said, Neil, look, here's the way this is going to work. The winner is going to buy lunch, not the loser. The winner's going to buy lunch. And so I bought lunch. Every year. I had to buy lunch because Alabama always won.
winning.
Yeah, Alabama always beat A&M.
winning.
Yeah, A&M beats Alabama like once every 8 or 9 years, something like that. So anyway, that was how sensitive my conscience is to this. I've always kind of been hesitant on the whole, March Madness, get into that deal, and I don't know, I just have been. And I think it goes back to years ago, I heard a series by Adrian Rogers. Y'all know Adrian Rogers, famous Baptist pastor out of Bellevue, Tennessee, suburb of Memphis. He did a series on current events and how Christians should think about them. It was just different topics, right? And gambling was one of them. And, man, he came down on it hard and basically said any pure risk game of chance, pure risk-taking game of chance is sinful, and here are the reasons why. And so that was early on in my Christian life, and it has definitely stuck with me. So I guess we need to start with the definition. What is gambling? And I sent you guys several links of things that all attempted to do this. See if I can remember how it was worded. Gambling would be to put down personal stakes, i.e. money, on the outcome of something that is purely chance. I think that would be like the clearest definition. I'm putting something at stake on the outcome of a game, on the outcome of something I have absolutely no control over, and has varying degrees of complete chance, from the chance of rolling a dice to the chance of how my fantasy football team does week to week. And so, you have a betting line on a football game, and you take the favorite and you give up the points, and you put down a wager. That's gambling because you have no control over the outcome of that event. Where I would make a distinction between, let's say, Scotty Scheffler plays golf on a regular basis with Tony Romo, and they have money at stake on the outcome.
On their ability.
So to me, that's no different than a golf tournament where everybody has to pay $100 and the winner gets the pot. That I don't see that as much as gaming or gambling as it's there's skill involved. You're betting on yourself, that kind of thing. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Let's define it and maybe try to parse out what's a game of chance versus a game of skill.
Right, and then it gets into the more specific nuance of buying a raffle ticket, a lottery ticket. And that, you're buying a raffle ticket for a good cause, right? It's a noble cause, and you buy. Is that gambling, right? Does it constitute gambling? So,
well, and then you have the other added realm of investing money in the stock market and stuff like that. Is that would that constitute gambling? And
some would go there, but I think there's a different place where that money is going, and there's a different motive. So let's back up and answer the question: is gambling a sin? And this is a yes and no answer, right? It sometimes is, but not necessarily always.
Right. That's how I would say that. Yeah, I would say can be, but it's not necessarily.
Can be, right.
It's not. The Bible does not explicitly call it a sin.
So it's kind of like, I was thinking about an analogy. It's like drinking. It's like drinking alcohol. Is drinking alcohol a sin? Not necessarily, but it could be.
Could be. Yeah.
Of course, drunkenness is a sin. But even if you had to drink every single day, but you didn't get drunk, is there a possibility inside of that there's something sinful going on?
Yeah,
right. You don't know just like you don't know at what point your alcohol has become sinful. You don't really know at what point you're drunk, because by the time you feel drunk, you've been drunk for a while.
Yeah.
And I think the same goes with gambling. I think you don't realize the point at which your gambling became an idol, at which the outcome of that event, that win or loss, became something that you really put a lot of your hope in, or happiness in.
Right. So let's go down that path.
Well, let me say, which I think ties into what you were saying, Chris, is like having a quote unquote friendly wager for a meal, and it has never even come close to crossing the line of an addiction. It doesn't release an endorphin in your brain. It's not, because there's an actual thing that happens when you gamble and win money or lose that could cause rage. But the winning really it releases an endorphin.
Right.
It releases something inside your brain, right? And so can it not reach that level? Just like alcohol, having a glass of wine doesn't have to reach a level of affecting your cognitive ability, right?
Right. So let's go down the path for a few minutes is gambling sin? Let's go down the yes path for a few minutes. When is gambling sin? When is it violating clear biblical principles or passages that and it's clearly this has become sinful? Let's explore that.
Well, I think when you think of 1 Timothy 6:10 and whatnot, where it talks about the love of money is the root of all sorts of evil, and so money itself is not evil. Making money is not evil. Obviously, we need money, but when there's a point where your attempts to make money cross a line, to the point where you are consumed by your pursuit of wealth in a way where it becomes, it starts to become idolatrous. I love this this quote from Proverbs 13:11 from the New Living Translation. It says, "Wealth from get rich quick schemes quickly disappears. Wealth from hard work grows over time." And so, I think one way of looking at gambling is when you invest money in these, get rich quick type of schemes that are no guarantee whatsoever that your money is actually going to produce anything, but more likely you're going to lose money. And of course, casinos, operate on the principle that most people are going to lose a lot of money. And that's how they make money, because they know people will come.
Their
buildings are
multi-billion-dollar hotel. Yeah, if you've ever been, they're amazing, right? I think it's on the backs of.
Right.
So that was Proverbs 13:11. I think you were quoting there from the New Living. Yeah. The LSB says wealth obtained from empty effort dwindles, but the one who gathers with his hand abounds. And that's I think gambling could be seen as empty effort. It doesn't take any real effort to put a bet on an aspect of the game or a game or the roll of a dice. Right. And then another thing that I thought of is Proverbs 10:2, and treasures gained by wickedness do not profit, but righteousness delivers from death. The Christian Standard says ill-gotten gains don't profit. And I think we could see that the winnings from gambling, not like you talking about with the football game or Scotty Scheffler betting on himself, but anytime you win at gambling, it's because somebody else lost.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So your winnings are ill-gotten because it is actually from someone else who lost at that bet.
And these are the layers of the sin that's involved here. So there's there's the motive of I'm trying to get rich quick and easy, and because I love money. There's the I'm stealing in a sense from someone else because they have to lose for me to win. There's the I'm putting my hope and trust in something that is random from a human standpoint, that I have no control over. I'm especially thinking of things like slot machines, roulette wheels, dice.
Pure chance.
Pure chance.
No choice in the matter whatsoever.
That's a little different even to me than a professional poker player. Mm-hmm. Now, there's a ton of chance involved in professional poker, but if you are highly skilled at that, you're probably going to win more than you lose. But even in that, you're winning at somebody else's expense. Right. It's never a win-win situation. Yeah. I mean, the only place that wins is the casino, is the house. The house always wins.
If they didn't win, you wouldn't have these multi-billion-dollar hotels that get built.
Giving away food.
They get built in less than a year.
Right. Giving away alcohol.
Free alcohol.
Giving away prime rib steaks for $5.
Giving away rooms. Giving away limo service. Right. Oh, come back.
No windows. No clocks.
Yeah.
People are in there with drinks in their hands at 8 in the morning.
They pump oxygen in so that you got some life in. So tied into what the verse that Scott read is also Hebrews 13:5, right? Keep your life free from the love of money and be content with what you have. For he said, I'll never leave you nor forsake you. So also there's a lack of contentment involved in that, which Paul goes into greater depth in Philippians.
Yeah, I mean, just from a worldview standpoint, I'm thinking about the proliferation of cyber scams and things like that. And a brother in our church did a little seminar for us, and he said the purpose of these scams and this online blackmail is to limit human flourishing, is to limit human potential. And I think that when you're talking about these casinos that are dark, that have no clocks, they are programmed for you to become addicted. Right. And your addiction is a limitation of your human flourishing. It's a limitation of your human potential. Yeah. And so when we think of this in the context of the book of Galatians. It is for freedom that Christ set you free, brothers. Don't put yourself under a yoke of slavery. Of course, he's talking about the Mosaic law, but there are many yokes of slavery that a Christian could subject himself to, and this is one of them.
Yeah, for sure.
And it destroys families, destroys. Right. I mean, I've seen it my whole life, even after Christ, but I've seen it. I've seen the effects of gambling and what it does to people and what it does to families, and it's a real thing.
Right, and there's studies where it actually changes. You talked about some of the brain chemicals, and it actually changes your brain to gamble and
somebody will share with me
of addiction.
They won something in a football. They won a bet in a football game, and they're like, oh, how much? And it was significant enough to over $100. And I said, oh, that's the kiss of death, man. Winning is the kiss of death because you will lose because it releases that thing and then you start to think you're pretty good. You're like, oh, I'm pretty good. I'm a good gambler,
You can beat the odds.
You think you can beat the odds, and it's this competitive sense of wanting to win,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting. You can. I haven't done this in a while, but some of the stories of people that win the lottery, that win these multi-million-dollar, lottery payouts, and it absolutely destroys their lives.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, they've done documentaries on that. Yeah, it's almost 100%.
Yeah, it is sad and pathetic.
Right.
To see.
And what's also sad and pathetic is one of the things I sent you guys is there was a study done on the people who are buying lottery tickets, and a certain segment of our population, the poorest segment of our population, their studies have been done that they're spending up to 13% of their income on lottery tickets.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I would, to me, lottery is it a sin if one of us went and bought one time spent $5 on a lottery? It would be for me personally. Yeah. I've never done it. I never will do it. It would be a sin personally. It would violate my conscience. But I feel very safe in saying that for the majority of people that are regularly buying lottery tickets that really can't afford it, and it's a get rich quick, it's a get out of poverty card, that is sinful. That is not trusting God. It's not following the means God has designed to build wealth, and your chances are so minuscule. Yeah. You would really be better off learning how to play blackjack and going to Vegas than you would be buying lottery tickets if you wanted to just look at cost risk and analysis. So, oh my gosh, it's pathetic. It makes me sick to my stomach to think what our government does to the poor people of our land with these lotteries. Yeah. And then they hold it out as, this funds education or this funds whatever, and it's like you're just draining people who can't afford to be doing that.
Yeah, it's actually a regressive tax.
Right.
It's because it's a higher percentage of those who can't afford it are the ones who are playing it.
Exactly. Those that are in the upper income levels rarely.
You go to a lot of in New Mexico. You go to a lot of the Indian casinos, and it's mostly poor people.
Right.
It's mostly poor
trying
people,
to get out of poverty quick.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
So sad. They go, they'd hardly have money, and they go into these markets and they buy lottery tickets, alcohol, and cigarettes.
Yeah.
And you're like, you are guaranteeing yourself in poverty.
Yeah.
And the next generation who follows your ways. It's so tragic.
And that money could be invested in the stock market or in some sort of ETF, and over, you can double it in 7 years. That's the rule.
Exactly.
7 years, it's going to double.
Right.
And then compound over time, and you're better off in the long run if you hadn't bought the lottery ticket and the alcohol and the cigarettes and put that money in some sort of investment.
Okay, somebody's makes six figures regularly. They've got hundreds of $1,000s in the bank. They want to go to Las Vegas and they do this for entertainment, and they set a limit on the front end. I've got
some discretionary funds.
Discretionary funds, $500. That's all I'm doing. It's never going to go over this. They stick to that. I'm doing this for entertainment. Or I do fantasy football and I put $500 in a pot. Or I play poker with my friends once a week, and and it's just for fun. It's just for entertainment. Is that a sin? they're a Christian, should they be doing that? You're apparently the expert on this subject.
It's funny. Just talking about gambling.
Murray doesn't want to talk about it.
Yeah, no, I don't mind talking about it at all. Like, I started gambling when I was 12 years old on the golf course, and you know, my motto all through golf, my whole entire golf life till I was 30 years old, was playing golf for fun is no fun. Like, I literally never played a 9-hole round of golf without gambling. I mean, on myself, obviously.
Right.
But never, like, what was the purpose? Are you just going to go play? You know, so you're either playing in a tournament
right.
where you're trying to win a tournament or make money, and even in amateur tournaments, you quote unquote kind of got paid. But so I mean, I did that my whole life. I mean, we would pitch pennies for money. I mean, we would use the scale. And I'm going to say this out there, full disclosure, like, I loved gambling. I loved it. I wanted to, and it was never, I've never bought a lottery ticket in my life because that's pure chance. But to bet on myself, right. Whether it's, hey, let's see who can, let's stand right here on the 100-yard line, or let's run 100 yards, see who can, I'll bet you $5 I can beat you. I mean, I love doing that my whole life. Okay. In every single thing is definitely, now, had it crossed, were there times where it crossed a line pre-Christ and post-Christ? Not too much, because I always had a limit. I had a
because you're also tight and frugal, so this is kind of
exactly.
Like
so I had a choke factor. I knew where my choke factor was. If it got to a limit where it was like, that's where my hands are going to be shaking over a 5-foot putt, you know. So I was smart enough to know, okay, here's my here's where I'm at, you know, and that's different for everybody. But yeah, there's this, just talking about it inside of me creates this little bit of thrill. Like, just talking about it. Like, there's a little bit of thrill. Like, it's not like, oh yeah, that's the devil.
So
you know?
As a kid, it wasn't enough to just be competitive and win the 100-yard dash.
Well, yeah.
It wasn't enough to just win. It meant more to have something.
Oh my gosh, yes. All the time. I mean, from the time the guy who was kind of my big brother in golf when I was 12 and played my first golf round for money, him and I against 2 other members at the country club. I mean, it was like, we're on now. I mean, this is it for the rest of my golfing. You know, even now, I'll go play with Quinn and his friends, and we'll say, okay, here's what we're going to do, you know?
Right. And see, I'm struggling with whether, I mean, because I don't want to break us under the law either. Yeah. I mean, we don't want to become legalistic, because the Bible doesn't directly address this. It talks about casting the lots. Really, the only pure example of gambling that's in the Bible is when they were gambling for the clothes of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's all the verses on casting lots, but we're not even really sure what that was. And it was something apparently ordained by God. What would be the better word in the Old Covenant for the casting of lots? Approved by God. It was something they did. I mean, Peter was comfortable doing it to replace Judas. You know, and so there's.
Yeah, for the apostle, yeah.
And they divided the land by doing this. So we don't even really know what casting lots was, but we do know that the Roman soldiers gambled for the clothes of Jesus. Yeah. And that's really about the only example, which is, wow, just think of that in and of itself for a minute.
How sad that is. Yeah.
You know, I mean, they're gambling for something of this earth, and the person that can get them to heaven is hanging in front of them.
And let me back up. Okay, so this little thrill that I'm feeling right now as we talk about this. So let me back up. So no doubt 100% our culture right now, with this easy access to DraftKings and all these betting apps, is 100% destructive. It's 100% leading people down a path of sin, down a path of poverty, down a path of complete rage and brokenness.
Divorce, lose your family, lose your job.
Yeah, so in no way am I advocating zero. Not even a little bit. Right. Like, that's very sad, and I'm glad you brought this up, Chris, this topic, because it really is a problem. I mean, there's some teenagers that you can put $5 in this little in a video game thing, and you play different video games, and you can win points to increase your $5 or video games. We're like making the Flappy Bird. Remember Flappy Bird? You know, things like that.
Sure.
And how do we get started doing it? It creates this, not for everybody. Like, my wife would never, ever. She would never do that. That's zero thrill for her. For young men, there is this sense of thrill.
It's a huge male problem.
Yeah, this thrill of of the win, and then you get to go brag to your friends like, "Oh yeah, I beat the odds. I won."
Right.
And then you start to think you're pretty good at it, and you know what I mean. And it is only. It's like I tell people when it comes to alcohol. All right, and I've been on both sides of alcohol, but very, very relatively addicted to it, to not drinking at all anymore. And no one who drinks casually now can convince me of the benefits of it. And I know we talked about it, and your sons both brought it up. Exactly, a whole podcast about that. But to me, it's like at best neutral, and at worst very negative. And I think that's at best gambling would be neutral, and at worst it's destructive. There's no benefit, right?
Right.
So,
yeah.
So why are our young men doing it? Why is it such a draw for young men? There's got to be something missing in
ultimately
young
something missing
men.
inside them. That's right.
Well, I do think it appeals
that.
to the natural competitive spirit of
for
men.
sure. For sure.
You know, I mean, I think God designed us to be competitive. You know, we want to win. We want to
succeed and conquer.
You know, and that can be funneled in very good ways, and it can be funneled in very destructive ways.
I think that's part of it. But my wife is super competitive, and she's never bet in her life that I know of. I mean, they may have some pennies on the table when they play mahjong with the church ladies, but I don't know.
Yeah, and is that gambling? Right? In God's eyes, it's like, well, a penny is the same as $1,000.
I don't know if they have to put quarters in or not, but I think there's something else that goes on with men in particular, and that is this idea to control. Because the gambling addiction is I'm trying to control outcomes. I've deceived myself that I'm in control, or I'm good enough to because you're up against something that you have no control over. And I'm not talking about y'all's golf thing, because I'm not ready to put that under the label of sin. Gotcha. I like it. If we agree on the front end, unless you're taking advantage, unless you're a shark, unless you're taking advantage, hustling somebody, you're taking advantage of somebody that is not at your level, and you know it, and they're gullible, and you're naive. That's not love. Then if it's not a fair,
that becomes sinful.
It's not a quote fair bet. Mm-hmm. You know, if it's a fair bet, and we've got this thing handicapped properly.
Put our skill on it.
And you know that what you're putting up and they're putting up is discretionary and disposable, right? This guy's not putting his rent up.
Right.
He's not putting his paycheck up. You know, so there are things that would go into that. But if you cover all those bases, and I'm saying, hey, it's a game of skill. Mm-hmm. And to me, there's just something different about that than the pure games of chance. That people can fall into that is, and so when you think about the games of chance, like, and it feels like this is a male problem primarily, like the roulette, the slot, the rolling dice, the whatever. I mean, is there something going on? Like I feel like I'm some kind of mini sovereign. Like I'm stepping into the realm of God, and I'm going to control fate. I'm going to control randomness. You know, what is going on in a person's brain that just gets addicted to that? Mm-hmm. To me, it feels like there's more than just competition going on. I don't know. Maybe.
Well, I think Toby was hitting on it. Like, there's what is the emptiness inside of a person? Where's the lack of contentment in the Lord? Where's the identity crisis that's happening, inside? Right. Where's the real root? If we really got down to the root,
Right.
And
what's the idol?
Yeah, what's the idol?
So would you say BC? Would you say you were addicted to gambling? BC.
I mean, to a degree, maybe. It wasn't. I didn't wake up thinking about it. I just there wasn't. Honestly, there was probably not a day that went by that we didn't gamble at something. You know, my assistant golf coach at
University something that involves skill, a competition.
Always, we would. This guy, we would before Christ. Okay, so we'd go eat Mexican food, and my assistant coach, and he's older than me, and I had a fake ID, and we'd have a couple margaritas and play, and then we'd go play tennis at our apartment complex till like 2 a.m. for money. We played tennis. Neither one of us played tennis,
right.
But it was the idea.
It was a fair bet.
It was a fair bet, and it was like see who would choke, And so, but I wouldn't say I wasn't addicted. It never was a destructive behavior for me. Okay. I've been to Vegas a good handful of times, and
what do they call Vegas?
That kind of stuff.
What do they call
Sin City? Sin City, and it is. If you've never been, don't go. And if you've been, don't go again.
So this is, I think, is something to talk about. You bring up Vegas, and there's lots of Vegases now all over the country. So one of the arguments against the whole gambling empire and casinos and all this stuff is what it supports and what comes alongside of it. And this would be the argument I would make versus the stock market. Mm-hmm. Stock market is a legitimate way of building wealth. It's investing in America. It's investing in companies. It's investing in jobs. It's investing in
it is wealth creation,
and output and GDP and all the things and the economy and all those things. But you start thinking about gambling, casinos, this whole world and what it attracts. Crime that it attracts, drugs, prostitution,
drunkenness.
One of our articles I sent you guys, the guy says, now with our phones, we got 10,000 prostitutes and 10,000 bookies in the palm of our hand.
Yeah.
And so it's what these environments, what they create and what they attract and what they draw. And that's not just for the movies. It's not just hyperbole. It's real.
They condone sin. And it literally, I mean, let's say there's the owner of the casino sitting up in his ivory tower watching, looking like, man, I'm going to tap into the sin nature of humanity and I'm going to expose it and I'm going to gain wealth from it. And that's exactly what's happening. Satan's just laughing.
Yeah.
He's like, wow, if we can build more.
So the sins that happen alongside of the addiction of gambling becomes drunkenness and alcoholism, drug use, criminal drug use, sexual immorality, trafficking, prostitution. Now we're breaking up marriages, breaking up families through all of these means. We're going to break up families through gambling, through drug addiction, through prostitution, through unfaithfulness. All of these things start coming into play, and just it's exponential. It's a mag. So even if this thing right here by a Christian is not by itself, we could say is sinful. It's a magnifier for much of what is.
Yeah. And then I think just and because there's going to be some listeners probably, and I would say they probably would be the younger men of our church that might be listening and kind of think, well, I mean, I don't, we can go to Vegas on a family vacation and I can set aside $500, whatever it might be. But I think if we had them sitting right here. And I've had more experience on that side of the secular life of it. And we were to sit them right here and just, you explain to us why. Why do you want to do it? Mm-hmm. Give us the why. And I think when you dig deeper, they don't have a good reason. It's going to be it's not going to be a positive reason, right? Because it starts at neutral at best and only goes negative from there. And I think that would be, and I would ask myself the question, why? Why? What is it, Murray? What is in you, right? That wants, that lends itself towards you maybe wanting to do this, and let's get to the root of it.
Yeah, and then if the answer is, well, it's just fun, then I want to know, why is it fun?
Yeah,
what makes it fun about it?
Yeah, what makes it fun? Right, it's like people say, oh, no, I drink a glass of red wine every night because it's good for my heart. I'm like, well, drink pomegranate juice.
Right.
It's equally
just as good.
Beneficial.
And it doesn't hurt your liver like alcohol does.
Yeah, and it doesn't lend itself to maybe 2 glasses. That leads to 4 glasses, So
you won't ever get a DUI drinking pomegranate juice.
Yeah,
that's right.
No. So
you won't ever go broke from gambling if you never start.
Yeah. That's right.
So can I keep counsel me, brothers? Can I have a friendly lunch wager on the outcome of a football game? Or golf tournament. So I've done that with somebody in church, full disclosure.
Yeah. Masters tournament or something.
We do the majors.
Yeah.
And we've created a little system where you can pick 4 golfers, and I create a spreadsheet. We
take turns picking.
Track the golfers. Yeah, we have a draft, and you got your 4, and he's got his 4, and then a point, and then we keep up their cumulative score. That's my team. I've picked my team. Mm-hmm. He's picked his team. Now, there's some skill involved in that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I know because, and so then we have a cumulative score, and then the loser buys lunch.
Yeah.
So the loser buys lunch.
The loser buys lunch.
In that case.
In this scenario, loser buys lunch. Yeah. And so why did we do it? So one, I did it as an excuse to go to lunch. I could have just gone to lunch.
Right.
Didn't need this to make that happen. and then just to increase the interest in watching the thing.
Yeah.
Just and it's not the lunch is irrelevant because it's.
But there's also this element of bantering that is kind of fun
it's
between
the competition.
guys.
The appeal of this whole thing to me is competition.
Yeah.
It's to win. I could care less. I mean, really, the lunch is irrelevant. Right. We'll just throw that out. It's really to be able to just win and gloat and boast.
Right. You could do it actually without a wager.
Right.
And just say you pick 4, I'll pick 4.
Right.
And it's bragging rights.
It's bragging.
It's an opportunity for you to trash talk because
absolutely.
He is a trash talker.
You are
that
a professional
is
trash talker.
That is what it's all about.
Yeah.
And really, the lunch is. I mean, if you buy the lunch or I buy the, I don't even care.
Irrelevant.
I'm going to still eat.
That's
I'm going.
Right.
So.
It's not going to affect my income. It's not going to affect my family. It's not going to affect none of that, right? And so it's sweet to me. It's like sweetens the pot a little bit, right? It adds a little bit of skin in the game. We call it, right? You call it in gambling. You got some skin in the game.
It really is a big part of our vocabulary.
Yeah,
this is like psychological stuff in American culture. How much of our vocabulary is basically gambling based?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's everywhere. You open your ears to it. It's everywhere. But
so if you put $1,000 on it, you're sweating, you're yelling at your wife, "I'm watching those TV, get away from me," and you're pacing back and forth, and you're like, "Shoot, we're $200 short on a bill this month, and I bet $300." Yeah. I've been there.
No, that's a problem. Yeah.
That's a problem. So where's their liberty in it? And that's where I think we've got to be honest. Can we be legalistic about this? Just like, can we be legalistic about alcohol? I think we can. Can we be legalistic about this?
About everything.
I think it could be.
Caffeine, sugar, ice cream, pizza.
Exactly.
Everything. You can
going to Starbucks and getting a coffee.
Okay, so can I do my lunch bet and have my golf teams for the majors? What would y'all say?
You already know my answer.
I can't answer that for you.
You know my answer.
Yeah. You can't answer.
Toby's like, that's between you and the Lord.
That's between you and the Lord.
Okay. All right. So I know there'll be a listener to this podcast that does fantasy football, and I think some of the leagues he does it's $100 entry fee, and there may be 7. Well, there's 12. There's always 12. So you put in 100 with the chance of winning $1,200 if you win the whole thing. It's all or nothing, right? So should he? Can he?
If he can afford the $100 entry fee, then the $1,200 pot is probably inconsequential too.
So is that skill? Is that betting on himself?
On his picks and whatever else?
Because to win, to win, you're taking it from everybody else.
I think there's
where's the line?
I think that you're drafting people that you actually think have skill and are going to perform.
Yeah.
So you're betting on your ability to pick.
Yeah, but then they're going to blow out their ACL in week 1 and
that's always a thing.
So I would say it goes back to it's neutral at best. It's neutral at best and destructive and damaging at worst. So
that would be in the area of neutrality.
Yeah. Where is that area of neutrality and where does it work its way down?
There's certainly nothing good about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it goes to just about anything. You don't have to be a gambler to be addicted to sports.
Correct.
I mean, this is an area of discussion, we've had with family members, when
y'all all put on your number 12, number 12 jersey,
10 jersey.
And so, there's a place where, it starts to cross a line where something becomes an obsession.
Too important.
Too important to you.
Too important. An idol.
And when it becomes too important when if your team loses, you go into depression or something.
Ruins
right, you have a bad day, bad mood.
If you can walk away from the loss of a game and say, okay, I'm not happy that my team lost, but this isn't ruining my day and it's not ruining,
moving on.
Yeah.
Moving on. But I mean, even within that, right? I mean, you'll watch something and I mean, maybe for an hour. For an hour, I'm pretty stewed about it,
Well, and for me, I can get very into my teams, and especially if there's a lot at risk, a lot at stake, for them to win, and they're not winning, I can get very frustrated and angry, and I got to put a check on myself. I have had to walk away from games and say, okay, this is raising my blood pressure a little bit too high.
One of the maddest times I've ever been that had nothing to do with a real person, a person, a real interaction or whatever, was when the Spurs lost in 2013 to the Heat.
Oh, I thought you were going to say when we went to the.
No. When I was watching this, I was watching this by myself, thankfully, and I was at somebody else's house because we didn't have cable. And this is when Ray Allen hit the corner shot against the Heat.
Oh yeah.
And we had them beat. It was Game 6, and we had them beat at Miami. And he hits that corner shot, and we lose that game, and then we lose Game 7. And I was thankful that I was at somebody else's house because I wanted to break something so bad. I wanted to trash something. I was so mad.
Yeah,
I was so mad.
I thought you were talking about last year when Joker won.
No, there were no
postered
stakes.
Wemby.
There were no stakes in that, and we're going to get you back. We're getting you back this year. So
we're going to find out.
We're going to find out. That's. So the line, there's a line, but it's individual for each person, conscience, liberty. But at some point, if it becomes damaging to relationships, to finances, to becomes addictive, if it makes you angry to lose, if you can't function week to week without a bet somewhere. Right? And wouldn't that be a red flag? Like I got to bet something every so often.
Yeah.
Wow, what a complex
it really is.
If you couldn't easily walk away from it and say, "Oh, this doesn't matter. I can do this or not do it."
Yeah.
And that's true of any. I think that's going to be true of many, many things.
Mm-hmm.
The argument back to the fantasy football would be, hey, this is a way to have fellowship, way to get people together. I mean, we did a fantasy football league. I did it this year for the first time, and it was all church guys, and we were going to call it Kerrville Bible Church Fantasy Football, and I said, no, I don't want to name it that. And I said, look, I'll only do it under one condition. There will be no money involved.
Yeah.
It's just for fun. It's just competition with each other. We're not putting any money involved.
Yeah, that way you're not putting a stumbling block.
I'm not putting a stumbling block because as soon as somebody finds out we got a fantasy football league and money's involved and there's there's 3 pastors and 4 other elders or whatever is involved in this thing, I was like, no, I'm not risking that. And so, but at the same time, I'm not judging the other people in their other leagues, and they may put up $50 or $100 to make it worthwhile.
Yeah.
I'll just say I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
I'm too daggum tight. I could not bet $100 on because fantasy football in my mind is basically chance.
Yeah.
And to me, I couldn't do it. And but I can't say that that's sin for somebody else. And I can't say for you and Quinn to go out and, as long as it's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, don't take advantage of
my
Quinn's of your son.
He evens it out in the gym. Okay, Dad, I'll bench press you for a Coke.
Toby, you got any closing thoughts? You're pouring over the scriptures over there.
Yeah.
Wrap it up for us.
You were talking about there being a line that where it crosses into idolatry, it crosses into sin. And we've talked about how it's neutral at best. And it just reminds me of Ephesians 5:15, 16. Therefore, look carefully how you walk. I was thinking about the line. What's the line?
Yeah,
we don't know what the line is because the line is super blurry.
Yeah.
And so Paul says, look carefully how you walk, not as unwise, but as wise, redeeming the time because the days are evil. And so you just have to be circumspect about where your heart is, what your motivations are, and
why are you doing
does this glorify God? Our point in every heartbeat, every breath is to glorify God. Right. And does this accomplish that, or is it somehow diminishing that?
Right. So with that filter, I mean, I feel very good about having my little competition with my friend on the 4 major golf tournaments and picking our teams and whatnot. It's not an inordinate amount of time. Let's just have the competition, and then let's just go to lunch and let's Dutch. Unless you want to pick up the tab just because you want to, but it's just Dutch, and we pay for our own lunch, but it was just fun and the banter, and it created communication, and it made something that we can enjoy righteously a little more interesting.
And talking about something that inane like golf could lead to something else.
Wait, did you call golf inane?
Yes, I did.
Ooh, oh, wow. Oh, goodness. I'm going to address that in the next podcast.
He must clearly not watch golf in April at the Masters.
It is eternally inconsequential.
I get to close.
I love it. I love golf.
Okay.
But it is eternally
But Augusta
inconsequential.
National is heaven on earth. I mean, you do admit that, right?
I would love to go.
All right, let me close this. Lord, thanks for the time together in this conversation. Pray that it has been a challenge to some, convicting to some. Lord, if people listening have just not stopped and thought about this and run it through principles and scriptures that apply. So we pray that would happen, and that we would be good stewards of the resources you've entrusted to us. That's a whole element, Lord, of this we haven't talked about, stewardship. It's your money. It's not our money. And we're to be good stewards and managers of it. So help us to do that. Help us to trust in you and not chance. Help us to work hard and not try to get rich quick. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thanks for listening to the Kerrville Bible Church Pastors Podcast. We want to be a resource for you and answer the questions that are on your mind. Please send them to us via email at questions@kerrvillebiblechurch.org or call or text us at 830-321-0349.